welcome to Austria.
Nothing to declare. Bye.
Sir, please open your bag.
It's full to bursting, come on.
Please open your bag.
I've been flying this route for over 15 years now, back and forth and back and forth. I'm tired, I want to go home.
Open your bag.
Fine, there's only presents in there, you know? Hey! My stuff!
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
Today we're talking about a very interesting movie that was released in 2015. Pathemari by Salim Ahamed.
Pathemari, which means Tao, is a movie that helped us getting a fuller and more complete understanding of certain social and economic topics in India. We had this moment during the movie where we realized that by watching all those different Indian movies, we are more and more able to comprehend the people, the culture, the social issues, and much more.
Some of the dots are slowly connecting. We watched Nado Di Catto just a few weeks ago, and Pathemari actually tackles one of its topics, which is the so-called Kerala Golf boom, but of course in a much more serious manner. But we had no difficulties to find our way into the story and catch the meaning of it.
The story spans over a period of, I would say, 50 years. It starts in the 1960s and supposedly ends in 2015. We follow the lives of a few men who travel to Dubai in search of greener pastures. We are at the beginning of the Gulf boom that had its climax from 1972 to 1983. Our main protagonist is Narayanan, played by Mammootty. Over the course of the movie, the years pass and we witness Narayanan's struggle to find a balance between his life in Dubai and his life in Kerala.
He visits home only every 3 years or so he misses out on certain things and important moments. Many people are only interested in his money, even his sons. And one day he dies. And this movie and also its characters ask the question, what did he achieve? Was it worth it?
Pathemari takes the classic route of starting at the end. We learn that a beloved person died, but before we really know who this person was, we jump back in time to the 1960s, where we stay for a considerable part because we accompany a whole bunch of young men who take the risk of getting to the Persian Gulf by ship.
It's a very intense beginning, it stirs your emotions. The passage that they take is extremely dangerous and excruciating. It is very much reminiscent of all the images that we were exposed to in the last years when people around the globe take a tremendous risk to find a way to a better life. Or in many cases to get away from war, of course.
In that regard, Pathemari is more topical than ever. And the beginning, those first 15 to 20 minutes are very good and leave you wanting more. But then we make a jump forward in time, the first of many jumps. And in comes Mammootty's Narayanan.
Who was of course one of the young men on the ship in the 60s, who is now living and working in Dubai. We certainly had our problems with Mammootty at first, because Narayanan is supposed to be in his mid-30s, whereas Mammootty was 63 at the time.
16 years have passed since Narayanan and his best friend Muhyiddin, played by Sreenivasan, who looks hilarious as a young man, got to Dubai, and that Narayanan traveled home 6 times since then. So to sum it up, after we got comfortable with the age gap situation and the distinct way that the story is told in, we were able to find our way into this movie, didn't we?
Oh yes, with time Pathemari develops a remarkable appeal that mainly originates from this elliptic storytelling, which is interesting because, as you said, at first it threw us off a little. And this slight disparity between the seriousness of the topic and a rather unagitated narration and acting is also something that stands out.
Pathemari is a quiet movie that draws its strength from the story and the characters. There is a distinct difference shown between expectation, reality and perception. Narayanan's family and especially friends have no idea how his life in Dubai is. For them it's all glamour and money in a way. They do not know that Narayanan is working his ass off for a paycheck that isn't as big as they think.
A quote from the movie that will certainly stay with me is when Narayanan is saying that family at home assumes that he made 2,000 rupees when he is sending them 1,000. But in reality he only made 700 and borrowed the missing 300. But he doesn't tell them, because he's happy that he's able to provide for them. Mammootty plays him in accordance to the movie, which means he's calm and reserved. I think his biggest moment is actually at the end of the movie, when we see an interview with Narayanan on TV. A strong monologue that kind of summarizes everything and that leaves you teary-eyed.
It's a strong ending, and it gives you a good final insight into Narayanan's mind. He doesn't regret a thing and would do it all again. You could say that this finale is a bit too nice and forgiving. What do you think?
Well, first, we're probably in no position to judge this character in a fair way. We have no idea about the hardships and issues that people like him are facing. Second, and moreover, Pathemari is a compliment to all the men who left their home to make money and provide for their families. And it's made in memory of all the people who lost their lives at sea in search of a better future.
I've looked at it that way as well. The movie certainly wears its heart on its sleeve. Things are not addressed in a subtle way, things are out in the open, clear as daylight, so that everybody understands. First and foremost, Pathemari is director Salim Ahmed's way of building a monument for all those workers.
Definitely, but don't forget, Pathemari does also ask questions. Moeddin himself asks, what did we achieve? The movie might be too forgiving in some regards, but it doesn't shy away from challenging the issue.
True.
Adding to that is also the music, especially the main theme called Pathemari, that conveys the heaviness that the story implies.
Yeah, you can really see the heavy waves of the sea right before your eyes through that song, but you can also feel the hard work. There are two other songs. They are quite contrary to that because they punctuate the other side, so to speak. The desire, the longing for something.
That something is of course a home, a family and comfort. We only get a few scenes when Narayanan is at home with his family, but it's enough to feel the bond, especially between him and his wife.
And he actually is thinking about staying at home and not going back to Dubai, but the circumstances just won't let him.
And in the end, you can't help but feel empathetic with every Gulf Malayali or any other migrant who has to live such a life.
So, what would we say in German about Pathemari?
Ein ernsthafter, gut gespielter Film, der unaufgeregt erzählt wird, aber eine deutliche Sprache spricht. Pathemari ist ein Denkmal für alle Malayalis, die ihr Glück im Persischen Golf gesucht haben und immer noch suchen. I give Pathemari 7 out of 10. It's more like 6.8, but I don't do that.
For me, it's also 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.1, but I don't do that either. Did you know that there exist at least 13 different types of dhows? They differ in size, number of masts.
Interesting.
Maybe we should start a second channel that is just about ships.
Maybe not.
Okay.
What are your thoughts about Pathemari? Leave a comment and hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd, and now also on Patreon, simply at the Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at the Buddymeister.
And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.